Welcome to another fun episode of TFL Talking Trucks podcast. We're back in the studio, and we're also live to our Patreon supporters like you.
Yeah, and this is episode 295. We've got a few interesting things to talk about today, especially because Andre and I had quite the day yesterday. We finally got around to something that we've been wanting to do and that a lot of people have been asking us to do. We got our deuce and a half on some appropriately sized off-road obstacles.
Yes, we went to the Couch Engineering Proving Grounds here in Colorado, and Jay Couch, he's bonkers, but in the best way.
Absolutely.
Best way possible.
And because we, it took us a while to get our deuce on an off-road trail, we decided not to just do that by itself, but instead to compare it to one of Jay Couch's many Unimogs.
Yes, so Unimog versus deuce and a half Bob the truck. So that video is coming up. But also on this episode, I think we may have a heated discussion because we are on the hunt for the most affordable full-size off-road truck, which is best value. So not the total bargain basement price, but also has some good gear, good tires, good equipment, and it's not as clear as we thought, actually.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and trying to find a reasonably affordable 1500 or F-150 truck that is decent off-road is hard. It's difficult to do.
But more than just decent, I would say, because you would say any truck with four-wheel drive is decent, right? So how do you draw the line? That's another point of discussion, right? Do you need a locking differential? Do you need aggressive tires? Do you need, what do you actually need?
Ideally, all of that. But I might be stuck in 2019 because still the sticker shock can be a little hard to get over.
But there's a little bit more on this show, too. You recently went to Moab in our GMC Canyon 84X for a little comparison against Tacoma TRD off-road truck. It was a collab with another channel. And we have some news. And
Yeah, where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with the truck question. So, Cole, we're...
That could describe a lot of the podcast.
Off-road truck.
Yeah, I figured.
So, Cole, if you go to the Hemi Hype story, because we're talking about the Warlock. Mm-hmm. So, Ram is kind of doubling down on their sport. They call it sport truck category, but really what they mean is off-roading, right? So, they've had the Rebel. They've had the RHO. There are rumors actually more than rumors, of the TRX coming back.
Yep.
But the Warlock is a new trim level that they're doubling down on. They had a Warlock before in the Ram 1500 Classic, which was a previous generation truck that was still on sale last year. But now the classic Ram 1500 trucks are no more. It's all the new gen truck. And look at it. It's a pretty nice package, actually.
Yeah, and it's something interesting to talk about and explore because this is one of the trucks that we have here at the office this week. We've been testing it quite a bit, and it's fresh in our minds.
Yes.
It's also a category of truck that we like quite a lot because it's a rugged enough truck that you could go run some light to moderate trails here in Colorado, which we do a lot because we live right here in the mountains. Still a truck that you can pull a trailer with, you can fill up the bed. It's a crew cab, so you can haul around people. So we love this segment of trucks, and the idea with this Warlock is that it would be a little bit more affordable, quite a bit more affordable than an RHO or an upcoming TRX. But I have a bone to pick with this truck.
Okay, what's your bone?
It's, for one, I'm going to go ahead and say it. The one that we have here at the office is $60,000.
$60,800 approximately.
Which, in 2025, in the realm of pickup trucks, $60,000 is not a ton of money. Relatively speaking, in this day and age,
it is a ton of money.
Mentally, I'm still stuck a little bit in 2019, so 60 grand seems like a lot for a truck. In this day and age, 60 grand is not that much for a truck, but you get into this truck and you see some of the areas in which they've cut costs, and it's some of them are a little hard for me to move past. I don't mind the cloth seats. I don't mind the basic interior. I actually really like the fact that this particular truck is a 6-seat configuration, so we've got a bench in the front.
Bench in the front, yes.
So a lot of stuff like that I think is awesome. The small screen, again, that doesn't bug me, but there's some convenience items. The biggest one that irritates me, and for most people, you might roll your eyes, think whatever, the buttons on the back of the steering wheel that you use for volume and to skip tracks, which I use all the time, and I correlate that in my mind with any Stellantis or FCA, whatever you want to call them, product. I love those buttons. I use them quite a bit.
Well, you
always listening to music.
The first thing you do when you jump in the truck, and I'm looking at you, Case, is you pair your phone.
Yeah, and I set up one of my playlists.
That's what everybody, I think, does, because...
And I get music going.
Exactly. Music, maybe podcasts, maybe you're listening to TFL Talking Trucks.
And maybe. And I probably won't, because I'm here for it.
Okay.
So I don't need to.
But everybody else is listening to it.
Some people are.
Yeah.
And at least tens of people are listening.
Maybe even hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that I find particularly offensive, that they would cost cut by getting rid of the volume switches. A couple of the switches that I use the most often on the back of the steering wheel. How much is that really going to save them versus how much?
I don't know. It's probably, I mean, if you think about building, 10 or 20 or 30,000 trucks, it probably will add up eventually on that cost. Or, wait a minute, or it could be a supplier problem. Right? I mean, after COVID and through COVID, we've learned about different supply chain issues. So it could be where it could be a tariff-related thing where the part is coming from another region or country. But I agree with you. It was there before, and you're taking something out.
It's, and I think it's a nice, convenient thing to have. You can disagree with me. You can say that I'm making mountains out of molehills. That might be fair to say. There are a few nice features on the truck, though. I like the fact that both the primary portion of the mirror and the lower convex portion of the mirror are power adjustable.
Yeah, on this more basic truck.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's pretty nice.
Except the towing mirrors that this truck, the Warlock we're talking about that we have on testing, they're not power folding. So this came into play when Roman and I took our F-150 Tremor, which I would wager this Warlock competes against. And we can argue about this later because the pricing doesn't quite match up. But we were going through a tight trail up Deer Creek Trail here in the mountains of Colorado. And I had to ask Ian, our videographer, to fold my mirror manually. Because I couldn't obviously reach the passenger side. I was able to reach the driver's side. So I was kind of wishing I had power folding mirrors.
Yeah, which is fair. I mean, that much I would expect as far as trying to keep it a more affordable trim. But there are a few examples of cost cutting on the truck that for $60,000 are things that I would kind of expect.
Okay, now let's take a step back. Base price, if you don't have the towing package, if you don't have some of the other additional options like bed liner, believe it or not, or tonneau cover, which are all additional cost, and including the V8 Hemi that this truck has equipped, which is the most expensive engine option
in
this
about
particular
$3,000.
truck. Yeah, if you take away all of that and put in a Pentastar V6 into this Warlock 1500 Ram, the base price, including destination, is $54,010. We checked it on the configurator this morning, right before this podcast is airing, and that includes the $21.95 destination. So now you have an interesting vehicle, which is a little weird because you kind of have a low torque, low horsepower, relatively speaking, engine in this beefy truck on 33-inch tall tires. But I guess, some people could go for that, right?
I would at least want to spec the Hurricane if it were my truck, and the Hurricane is less expensive than the Hemi.
I think it's $1,600 for the Hurricane.
Yeah, that to me would be worthwhile over the Pentastar because it's a lot more power and a lot more torque.
So if you did that, your Ram 1500 Warlock would be $55,705. So still no buttons on the back of the steering wheel, though.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. About almost $56,000, including destination charges. And you would say, wait a minute, where's General Motors in this?
Yeah, so
Right.
if we were looking at a Silverado custom Trail Boss with the turbo 4-cylinder,
Turbo Max.
yeah, that would be around $54,000, similarly equipped. But that is a G80 and not a selectable rear locker.
Exactly. Which General Motors have been doing for decades, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of their solution.
And it works.
G80 works.
It's not maybe as graceful.
Yeah, because it could be sudden when you're kind of in a low traction situation and your rear axle is looking for power. That engagement of that G80 locker is a little bit sudden, and it could kind of like, kind of propel you forward in a sudden way. But nonetheless, it works. It's fine. So that's a little bit more affordable, but by what, $15?
Yeah, $15 less than the Pentastar version of the Warlock that we were talking about, which, $15.
It's lunch, I would say.
Yeah.
For one person.
There's a few things. At Texas Roadhouse, you could get a nice appetizer if you don't fill up on the rolls and the cinnamon butter.
This is not brought to you by Texas Roadhouse, by the way.
But it could be in the future.
This is brought to you by you, the Patreon supporters.
Yeah.
This is what this podcast is brought to you by. Okay.
Back on subject.
Tremor.
Yeah.
Well, what about the V8 custom Trail Boss?
Yeah, so keeping on the Chevy for one more moment, if we did get the Chevy with a V8, it would be just under $56,000, so very similarly priced to the Hurricane version of the Warlock. And you could make an argument there which one makes more sense. The Hurricane is going to have
more horsepower and more torque.
More power, more torque.
Yeah.
The 5.3 in the Trail Boss is going to have more character, so it depends on what you're going for.
Exactly. So here's where we're kind of stuck. We're stuck around 55, 56 grand. And let's review. Basically, you're getting a small suspension lift with both of these trucks.
More aggressive tires.
We're talking about like 1 to 2 inch suspension lift. Really aggressive tires. So you're actually sacrificing a little bit of efficiency with these trucks because these tires have high rolling resistance. They're very knobby.
Yeah,
We're
which
talking
is
about
an expected trade-off.
Yeah, we're talking about Duratrax here in some of these cases, at least with GM and Ram. And you're getting some sort of a rear locking differential and specially tuned shocks and suspension.
And some skid plating.
Yeah, skid plating as well.
So most of the basics that you need.
Yeah, and so now you have a truck that can do everything. It can do your daily tasks, your daily driver. It will carry payload and it will tow a trailer. But then you could also take it on the weekend and go play in the mountains or the trails.
And since we've had the Ram Warlock here at the office, we have been comparing it to our F-150 Tremor, even though our F-150 Tremor is good chunk of change more expensive than the Warlock, but the Tremor in a lot of ways is similar to the Warlock in that they're light off-road packages. It's not a Raptor. It's not the full flagship poster truck jumping across your desktop screen, whatever you have as your screensaver.
Yes. It's the Tremor is, and we'll talk about FX4 because FX4 package in the Ford lineup has been there for decades as well, and that was their kind of more value-oriented off-road package. But let's talk about Tremor first. It starts actually with a V8, believe it or not. So thank you, Ford, actually giving us a V8 right off the bat.
Yeah, pretty happy with that.
But not thank you, Ford. It starts at $67,510.
Yeah, and of course, we're not talking about any prices that include particular incentives because those incentives depend on where you live, and they're changing at this point week to week, day to day.
So here's an example. We purchased, when Roman walked into our local dealer at Ford to get this F-150 Tremor 2025 model, the sticker price is just a hair over $68 on our exact truck, the one you see here. But because of employee pricing when he was there and some other discounts that Ford had running at the time, he walked out at $63,000 approximately, which is about $5,000 off the price MSRP. But if you did that today, it would be different.
Yeah.
You never know. And the same good thing goes for the Ram and the Chevy. All of them have incentives. All of them have different discounts depending on the region. So what the pricing we're talking about is the sticker price, MSRP, that you see on the Monroney sticker in the window.
It's not likely to be what you're going to pay out the door.
But it's a basis of comparison for us. right?
Yeah.
And that's how we're looking at it.
Yeah, that's how we have to look at it because again, we can't get into the specifics of what it looks like at every dealership across the country. But our F-150 Tremor, I agree, it is on the pricey side. It's much better equipped than especially the Warlock that we've been comparing it against this week. The interior is better features.
And actually a little bit more fancy.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
you open the door on the Tremor, you have a little bit of orange stitching in many different places. The seats actually have a big Tremor logo.
Yeah.
I mean, Tremor is also a cool name.
And it's still basic in some ways. Our Tremor has cloth seats, which I actually like a lot, but it doesn't look like a fleet truck interior.
No, it truly looks like a sport truck.
Yeah.
In the sense that you could go, use it off-road in a very fun manner. And also it has big screens. We have a few clips playing if you're watching us on TFL Talk or our Patreon page, patreon.com/TFL car. You have big digital screens, which you could argue is bad or good, right? What I like about the Warlock is that you have analog speedometer and tachometer, which in theory should not break. I mean, they've been around for many years.
Yeah.
But Ford recently had a recall. Gosh, Ford, I mean, I just wish you would stop having recalls.
It's been a lot.
Where when you start the truck on 2025 and some 2026 models, the screens would stay black, not come on. So they're fixing it over the air update, easy fix. They found it. They're going to fix it, but that could be an issue with the screen, right?
Yeah.
A digital problem.
But to its credit, the Tremor feels like a much nicer truck. It feels more special and a lot more premium. So it is more expensive, but it's also much nicer. But maybe a better comparison would be something like an F-150 STX with an FX4 package. That's a much more basic truck, so arguably more comparable to the Warlock or to the Silverado Custom with Trail Boss package going on. So that STX with an FX4 package would get you a lot of the off-road features that we're talking about. It would get you skid plates,
more
rear
aggressive
locker.
tires, which is almost 33 as well, but not really a suspension lift, right? It's not really a customized suspension per se, although the shocks are a little bit tuned according to Ford for off-roading. But it's not like any sort of lift, so you're kind of still at the same ride height as you would be normally speaking in a 4x4 F-150. But the STX is also a little bit more fun, right? You have a little bit more color options, but also kind of basic truck. And that one starts, including destination, at $52,540. But here's a rapid-fire news item. First of all, you and I were on the computer, on the configurator, and the destination charge on the F-150 wowed us.
Yeah, it's about $2,600 destination fee, which is a lot because we were looking on Ram's website. That was around $2,200.
Exactly, which is just a few months ago. Okay, I think 2 weeks ago I was on the Ford site, and the destination charge was $2,195. Now we're looking at this is September of 2025. $2,595, basically $2,600, like you said, non-optional destination charge.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter which dealership you're at, that destination charge will apply to you.
That's a lot.
If you're in Dearborn, Michigan, and you're staring at the Ford plant where the truck is rolling out of, you're still paying that destination charge.
Is it? Am I crazy to say that I think that should just be built into the sticker price if it's necessarily a part of the price of any truck, even if you spec no options?
I don't think you're off base here.
Because when they say the truck starts at...
It's in the middle of the screen.
Yeah.
$2,595, right there, destination.
So when they say that the truck starts at 45...
it's actually not 45.
Yeah, in a way, it's just not going to be 45.
But then you see also options. There's incentive packages. You could subtract $3,000 here. You can subtract another $1,750 there. But once again, that depends. It's not. It depends on your maybe financial situation.
Yeah.
If you're leasing or buying, it can be any number of things.
Yeah. So that's a pretty pricey destination charge.
Yeah, and this is the highest I've seen. Like even like the highest that we saw previously was like a Hummer EV at about $2,200, which is a heavy vehicle. I kind of get it because
Sure.
it takes a lot to ship one of those vehicles across the country. But an F-150, also kind of a big vehicle, but not as heavy.
Not nearly as big
No.
as a Hummer EV.
No. So this was a shocker. So, but now I'm in a weird position because does the Warlock Ram compete against the FX4 STX or does it compete against the Tremor
Yeah, the two Fords almost straddle the Warlock
in price?
in price and in features. So it's an interesting comparison. Maybe people can let us know in the comments what they think would be the better comparison there. Obviously, we're going to do comparisons with the Tremor because we own that truck. We have it here at the office. I think it's a good comparison, if not perfect.
And actually, speaking option for option, like Roman walked out the door at 63 grand with the Tremor, and the sticker price on our Hemi Warlock is 60,800. So they're actually within like almost $2,000.
Yeah.
There, $3,000. So actually, the way we are in the real world right now, they're actually pretty close.
Yeah, and that's why you really, it's easy again to feel the sticker shock of looking at the MSRPs that we're talking about on these trucks, but it's always worth going online, seeing what a dealership near you might be offering as far as incentives go. Because you can usually walk out the door with a truck for less than what the sticker price is.
And actually, like if there are actually several of those trucks on the lot, the dealer might be willing to do more wheeling and dealing because they want to move that inventory off the lot, right?
Yeah.
But if you're custom ordering a special color or a special, I don't know, trim level, that might be an issue.
You might be out of luck.
Yeah. So it just depends on how you're shopping. But really, gosh, well, we have several videos. So we did a drag race, right? We drag raced our Tremor versus the Warlock.
Yep.
V8 for V8. That's coming up.
And you guys went off-road in both trucks?
Yes. We're also scheming to do a little bit of a night gauntlet.
Scheming?
Yes.
Right on.
With these V8 power trucks because V8s are really coming back in full force almost. You know, Ram now has one. They're shipping to customers. GM has V8 as actually one of their main engines, and also Ford.
I've seen before people poke fun at us for towing with off-road trims of trucks. And I think actually there's a very good reason why we do that. I think we test a lot of off-road trims of trucks because that's just a whole other aspect of a truck that we can test because we don't just have the truck channel. We got the off-road channel and all
many channels.
5 others on top of those two.
Exactly.
But on top of that, on top of it just being more of a Swiss Army knife, more tools in the Swiss Army knife that we can use and test and film, the other thing is off-road trims of trucks are designed to tow.
Yeah. Our Tremor is rated at 9,900 pounds, almost 10,000 pounds of towing.
It's not typically going to be the absolute best trim to tow, and it's not going to be the trim rated for the most amount of towing, but they are designed to tow.
Exactly.
So.
And also, I don't know how many countless times, when we are out and about driving around and you see, an off-road truck, maybe even a Raptor, pulling a side-by-side behind it.
For sure.
It's a daily occurrence here in Colorado. Maybe it's not a daily occurrence in Boston, Massachusetts.
In New York, in Manhattan.
But it's a common occurrence out here.
Yeah, for sure.
So we see that a lot. I mean, you want to use your truck, like you said, as a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
You can take it to Costco to buy some groceries. You can go, here. You could pull a trailer. You can do any number of things.
Yeah, that's our goal.
You could go tailgating at the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now that it's football season again.
Yes.
Why are we even talking about trucks?
We should talk about odds of games.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be really good at that.
Because we're experts at sports.
We need to hire Alex back if we're going to do that.
Yes, where's Alex?
Yeah. Should we talk about the GMC Canyon AT4X in Moab?
A little bit. So that's not a truck in our fleet of trucks, and we, as always, we kind of rotate them around because we own trucks for about a year. We do everything imaginable with some of these trucks, and then we move it on. So this AT4X is really replacing the Raptor Ranger that we had.
And you won't believe it, Andre.
What?
I thought this was never going to happen. Cole, who's behind the camera over there, he and I shot a motorcycle video, and we were in Lafayette, where the motorcycle was, and I was
Here in Colorado, near our office.
Yeah, heading back from the shoot, and I saw a Canyon AT4X in the same color that we bought.
The orange color?
Bright orange. And I looked at it, I was looking at the driver.
Was Roman driving it?
It was not Roman driving it. And I was looking at this, trying to look for some of the stickers that we have on the truck, like the TFL sticker and the Blaze sticker.
On XF
I didn't see it. I think somebody else bought a Canyon AT4X in pumpkin orange.
That is shocking.
I didn't.
But
think
I think I'm gonna say that it was us motivating somebody to do so.
Maybe.
Let us know.
I don't know if we have that kind of reach.
Well, let us know. Do you listen to TFL Talking Trucks? And did you buy an AT4X?
Certainly
in
don't
that orange color?
Start copying our style, because
it's questionable.
Our style choices
are questionable.
Is not, yeah.
Our style choices are based on how a truck looks on camera.
Yeah.
And is it bright? Is it fun? That's our style choice.
But I actually don't hate the color on the GMC Canyon that we have, that orange. I think it's unique. I think it stands out. I think it clashes a little bit with the red on it. But anyway, I thought that was funny that I saw another one on the road.
So tell me, you drove it about 350 miles from here to Moab on the highway, and then you took it on which trail?
We did Top of the World.
Top of the World.
Yeah,
I've never been there, actually.
So it was interesting. It was interesting because I would say the first maybe 70, 80% of the trail was very mild. And also, I wouldn't say the best views of any trail in Moab. When you get to the very top of the trail, Top of the World.
Now it gets steep and deep.
It is a good view up there, but the last 20, 30% of the trail is non-stop ledges that you're climbing over. And we went there to Moab with our GMC Canyon to shoot a video with Ryan from Driving Sports TV, who has a Tacoma that he kitted out with tires, underbody protection. He's got a rack over the bed system. It's not a lifted truck, and he's up in the Pacific Northwest, so that truck's not necessarily built out strictly for rock crawling. So I would say actually the Canyon up against the Tacoma did exceptionally well, especially because that Canyon front and rear lockers, unlike his TRD Off-Road was just a rear locker.
And our Canyon is all stock. Yeah.
Completely bone stock.
Yeah.
The other thing about the Canyon is that it's a pretty tall truck for a factory midsize. So as far as clearance goes, it did really well.
Well, I'm happy to hear this, especially with the traction it has, with the tires, the lockers.
And then it was comfortable on the road trip. The interior is good. GM does make kind of a stiff seat, but the materials, the technology, the comfort in general of the cab was not bad at all. So I had no qualms with road trip in it.
So MSRP on that truck was about $57,000, which is actually almost identical to the Ranger Raptor that we used to have.
Yeah.
That we traded in. And $57,000 is actually a little bit more than some of the other full-size trucks that we just discussed. So This is a special truck. I mean, this is not a vehicle, you buy willy-nilly. You really should buy it if you intend to really use it.
And the Canyon is much better off-road than the Trail Boss, the Warlock 1500, and the F-150 Tremor that we're talking about, especially because it's got a front locker, front and rear. That's pretty big. And good underbody protection, good camera systems, nice interior. So that Canyon does a lot of things pretty well if you don't necessarily need the capacity, the utility aspect of a full-size truck, and you mostly want an off-road truck, you'll get a better deal going with something like that Canyon AT4X. I like the Canyon a lot as a rock crawler, but in general, it's still hard to get over that Ranger Raptor. That powertrain.
Yeah, I agree. If I was faced with a choice for the same money, Ranger Raptor or AT4X Canyon, I would go Ranger Raptor.
Yeah. And again, specifically because of that powertrain.
It's
that
just more
twin turbo
fun.
V6.
It's more fun.
With that factory and warranty covered tune that we
Yeah.
put on the truck, 455 horsepower, 536 pound-feet of torque in a
It's
mid-sized
fun.
truck.
It's fun.
It's fast.
Yeah. What did you think about? Because whenever I drive the AT4X, either on the street or on the trail, the suspension, it's got the DSSV Multimatic shocks.
It does, but
it's a little firm in my opinion.
It is. It's kind of a stiff truck off-road, but even
Did you air
even
down?
on-road, we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
That should have helped a little
It
bit.
did. It helped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I wish a truck was maybe a little bit softer.
So the way these DSSV is basically spool valve technology, which is different than the kind of the washer shim technology that many other shocks use, but they're not live adjustable. There's no switches you turn, there's no buttons you push. So those shocks are set at the factory, the way they want them to be set at. And on the street, it's pretty precise. It has good precision, but it's a little bit firm.
And
It's a little firm.
At high speeds, both you and I have experienced the DSSV Multimatic shocks doing their thing, and they do it well. But if I was shopping for a high-speed off-road truck in this segment, again, it'd be the Ranger Raptor. I like this Canyon as a rock crawler, and for 99, well, maybe let's say 100% of the time that you're driving on a rock crawling trail, you're just taking consistent slow-speed bumps, and it would be nice to have a truck that's maybe set up a little bit softer.
Yeah, and so I think where GM may be going in the future, and this is my speculation, not anything they announced, but when I was in Vegas at the Mint 400, which infected our producer Cole with a love of off-roading. He even has a T-shirt, Mint 400.
He does. He's got a Mint 400
yeah.
shirt.
The truck that GM had there was that electric Silverado ZR2 concept, which had live adjustable DSSVs. So maybe GM is looking into that technology, and maybe they'll push it forward, and then Cole would be very happy with some of these trucks.
And that's all we're looking for. But
so he was about to show us the ZR2. I think it was not the Trail Boss, but it was the ZR2 concept.
Yeah.
ZR2 concept truck, which had live DSSVs.
That's a big unit.
Yeah, this truck, you know what? When it finished its race, they drive over the stage. Where the drivers are congratulated.
Did the stage bow in the middle?
The stage was built out of this, I think, 3/4 plywood, and the plywood was creaking and bending.
Yikes.
Remember this, Cole?
I would not want to drive that truck over plywood. Plywood is not adequate to hold up.
So the stage was not quite ready for a 10,000-pound race truck.
No.
But it actually did quite well in the hands of Chad Hall, who's a very experienced,
Legend.
very legendary off-road driver.
Absolutely.
So that was quite nice.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. But
we got to switch topics.
Nothing we've talked about so far is as cool as what we were doing yesterday.
Oh my gosh. Jay Kowich has a collection of Unimogs.
Yeah, Unimogs as well as a lot of other really
So
cool...
we have some videos about this, Cole. So if you look up Unimog collection, we actually have a video where we walk through some of these trucks. I think I even met Jay in Moab. I think there's another video where you see several Unimogs parked next to each other.
Yeah.
Yes. Basically, actually, Jay was explaining how it started with little Suzuki off-road buggies.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He started wheeling off-road in Suzuki Samurais, and then his immediate next move was Unimogs.
So I don't know how that transition actually occurred.
Yeah.
But it occurred.
It's a big transition. I think he was saying that he initially got into Unimogs because he was actually using them as implements, as agricultural tractors,
Vehicles?
essentially.
Yeah.
And then eventually got into using them off-road and kitting them out, and that's kind of his core business now. He builds some insane Unimogs.
Well, look at some of these bumpers.
Yeah.
I mean, we were looking at, I don't know, 3-inch tubing on or maybe bigger on some of these.
He's building bumpers that nearly wouldn't fit into the 8-foot bed of my Cummins.
Yeah.
They're massive
double
steel
winch
bumpers.
setups, crazy stuff. So his company, one of his companies is called Couch Engineering. Couch is his last name. And Couch Engineering, he does, over the years, he picked up these, secrets off-roading. So he's implementing them, just tough components, either beadlock rings
And he
for
is
wheels.
genuinely one of the best people out there at off-roading absolutely massive vehicles. He knows what he's doing. And it's funny, through this job, we get to meet a lot of people that build some cool stuff off-road, do some cool stuff off-road, and like to have fun. And watching these guys mess around is unlike anything
next level.
we've ever seen. One of the cool parts of yesterday was that I had the opportunity to drive an 8-wheel drive, 50,000-pound, 4-axle with 4 lockers, MAN military truck that was pretty sweet.
So cool. You can look up Man-Cat.
Yeah.
MANCAT. Man-Cat.
Maybe it's 2 words.
2 words. And I don't know if we have a video completely about it already. But
Yeah, and a while back, we also did a video with...
it's not a cat.
Yeah, the internet is struggling with that. But
Yes.
a while ago, we also did a video with
8x8.
with one of Jay's 10x10 military trucks. But this one he likes even more. So it's an 8-wheel drive, 4 lockers on all 4 axles, military truck, and that was a pretty cool thing to drive. The other thing that we did was, we said,
Can you talk about the transmission on this truck really quickly?
Yeah.
Because this is kind of unique.
So as Jay described it, it's essentially it's a manual it is a manual transmission. So you've got a clutch, you've got a gear lever, and you look at the top of the shifter.
Yeah.
And like I drove there in my Cummins, which is a 5-speed. So you've got the 5 speeds in reverse on the top of the shifter.
The pattern there.
The pattern on the top of the shifter in that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, so 8
there are
gears.
8 positions for it, and it's interesting. It's kind of a 4-speed matched up with a high and low, so it's
Like a splitter almost.
Yeah, 2 different gear sets. But what you do with this MAN Army truck is you pick whatever gear you're going to go into. You can start off in a pretty high gear.
Yeah.
And what you can do is you can hold your foot on the brake, you can dump the clutch, and there's actually, as Jay describes it, there's a torque converter apparently in this powertrain. So you can let the clutch out, be holding the brake in gear, and then
you're
let
sitting
off,
in gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let off the brake and go to the throttle, and at that point essentially drive it like an automatic. So it's kind of it's an interesting split. In some ways it drives like an automatic, but it is still manual.
With a clutch pedal.
Yeah, going through the gears you do manually, and it has a clutch pedal.
By the way, we're also live on Patreon, and Oliver Glaser is here. Glazer, I'm sorry. So happy Friday, he says, which is true. It is a happy
Very
Friday.
nice. Yeah, we're leading into the weekend.
Yeah. So that must have been a special experience for you.
It was.
And you also took it into a tank trap area that Jay has at his property.
And it's interesting, as Jay put it, you have to plan your turns because it's wide, it's long, and it takes a while. And you have to do quite a few hand-over-hand turns of the steering wheel before you actually get that vessel to change course.
I was running one of the cameras while you were driving. I was outside observing you guys, and it's quite a sight. It's hard to see scale because at his tank traps, he's got these gigantic, basically holes or trenches.
Yeah, that are 10,
about
12 feet deep.
10 to 12 feet deep, and there could be anywhere from 20 to 40 feet long or longer. But when I saw other people walking next to you and videoing you, now you get the scale.
Yeah.
Where this vehicle is, I don't know, 40 feet long maybe?
Probably.
It's got 8-wheel drive, obviously.
Yeah.
It's also a very heavy vehicle to begin with.
Yeah.
But 8-wheel drive, it didn't seem like you struggled at all. over most of these
No,
obstacles.
and we didn't actually have the lockers on the on the front two or the rear two axles.
No lockers?
Didn't need them.
Okay.
It never spun a tire. Makes sense at 50,000 pounds. It's got a lot of traction. Also, one of the nice things with having 8 axles is you've...
Or 4 axles.
Or, yeah, sorry, 8 wheels. One of the nice things about having 4 axles is that you've probably got some wheels on the ground with good traction at all times. So there were some tight turns over narrow sections of his tank trap that had drop-offs on either side, where you hang one of the front tires and one of the rear tires off either side of whatever you're traversing over. But as long as you've got a few wheels on the ground,
It's like a caterpillar.
it is, yeah.
Like a walking caterpillar, not the caterpillar engine I'm talking about, but
Yeah, like
but
the bug.
like the bug, where it always has a leg on the ground, no matter
Yeah,
what you do.
Exactly. So and kind of like a caterpillar, the bug, you can lift the front 4 wheels up in
As
the
you
air,
did.
cresting over a hill. It's a spectacular thing to see. There's a video on that's going to be coming up
yeah.
on TFL Off Road. Something to look forward to. That was a bucket list item for me. That was really cool. But you also spent some time off-road in our Deuce and off-road with Jay in his Unimog, because we were doing a head-to-head between the two. And I think one of the most interesting things on that Unimog is the super crawler gear.
Yes. So we talk about low range every day, right? Basically, it's a transfer case which has the normal gear set where we're using in two-wheel drive or
highway
high,
speeds.
highway speed. And then you go into 4 low, which basically sometimes it's like a 2.7 to 1 reduction, or sometimes in the Jeep it's a 4 to 1 reduction. So you can go a lot slower. Well, the Unimog has that, but also it has something called working transfer case, which is another reduction on top of the already reduced.
So like a double low range.
Double low range, basically. So, and we never used it. Well, so the Unimog also has 8 gears, manual transmission, and then you multiply it, times 2, that's 16, and another time, so that's basically 24 gears. And I asked Jay, after we negotiated most of the obstacles, I was like, can you show me the working group low range?
Yeah, and I was filming you guys with a drone as you were doing that, and I thought you were sitting there stationary.
No, we were moving.
Yeah.
So he put it in like second gear, working group transfer case, and there's like 8 levers
Oh, yeah.
in the center console, because he's got hydraulics, he's got several, 2 transfer cases.
Yeah, because the bed on that Unimog has a dump function, but it doesn't just dump backward, it can also dump to either side, which is pretty cool.
So this Unimog is capable, Jay quoted this, 4 inches of travel per minute.
Yeah, so he said clutch out on the throttle,
Yes.
it could take as much as a full minute for 1 revolution of the tire in that super crawler gear, which seems
Absurd.
very unnecessary.
Yes.
But you have to remember that Unimog had 160.
Like 135 horsepower.
Yeah.
It's not a very high horsepower engine.
No, so gearing is its friend. And
Yeah.
Jay said that actually a few times he's used that supercrawler gear, but it's more of a tractor kind of functionality. If you're using big implements, using it for a more agricultural use.
So another use case, he also had an attachment for a snow thrower.
Yeah, which was a terrifying looking gigantic drum with blades on it.
It looks like a meat grinder
Yeah.
that you could walk into, which is scary. But when you're cutting, like let's say you're going through like a 4 or 5 foot tall snowdrift,
Yeah.
you don't want to move through it too fast because you're gonna get bogged down, churning through the snow and ice.
Yeah, because you're using quite a bit of power to spin that drum.
Yes, exactly. So that's where the working gear comes in, because you can move at an inch
At a
every
glacial pace.
Exactly, and then you can clear all the glacier to the side. You could just clear it and keep moving. So that's kind of where this vehicle comes in.
So our Deuce is really cool, and I love that truck. Every time we go up to the ranch and we see it there, or actually Andre drove it into
I
work.
daily drove it. Yeah.
Yeah, Andre drove it into work today, and seeing it out there in the parking lot is awesome. But I think Jay converted me. I think I'm Team Unimog, man.
By the way, the Unimog we were in still had a straight six diesel.
Yeah.
So 6 in a row, ready to do some work, ready to tow. But price-wise, Case, our Deuce, it could be priced brand new because it's redone by Boyce Engineering Equipment. Was about $50,000 approximately. Now, the Unimog that Jay was in, competing against me, was about $80,000.
Yeah.
But it is a more useful machine. Like we said, it has dual lockers, which the Deuce we didn't spec at. We could have.
Yeah, our Deuce just has a rear locker.
Yeah, we could have added the front locker. We chose not to.
It's also got coil springs and disc brakes, and it rides better.
Yeah.
It's got portal axles.
It also has a higher top speed than our Deuce. And it has a dump bed.
Yeah.
And it has many other features.
And the thing that I'll spoil, because I don't think it's going to stop anyone from going and watching the video, because us talking about it is one thing. Actually seeing these two massive rigs go head to head is worth you going to look at when that video is up.
TFL truck channel.
Yeah. But another point that I have to give the Deuce is that it off-road, one of the biggest differences between the two is that the Unimog rather was a lot more maneuverable.
It had a slightly shorter wheelbase and really good turning radius too.
Yeah, it was quite a bit narrower.
Yeah, and narrower too. And we talked about it as we were driving it. And actually, the Deuce and a half, the Bob Deuce, General Giant, he's got a 4-speed Allison automatic transmission with a torque converter. And Jay speaks badly about automatic transmissions, and mainly because they do have a torque converter, and the torque converter feature, even though the 8x8 has a torque converter as well, he spoke a little bit negatively about it because it has a tendency to, when approaching a big obstacle, to kind of bog down because the torque converter takes some of that slack off the engine. In the manual transmission, according to Jay, and makes sense, is the gears are always meshed. The manual transmission gearing and the axles are always meshed. So even when you come up to an obstacle, there is still that forward momentum that can slowly take you over that obstacle. So, but at the end of the day, he was a little bit angry, but he complimented our Deuce and a half.
Yeah, I think our Deuce is, again, we're talking about two kick-ass trucks that I would be lucky to see in my driveway at any time. But I like those Unimogs a lot. Those Unimogs are pretty cool.
Well, it's easy to like them because he's got like 30 of them.
Yeah, and they're all pretty cool. So that was a hell of a day at work.
Yeah.
Ton of fun.
By the way, something else happened because his second company is called Dirtbox Overland, and they do accessories like tray beds, flatbeds. They do rack systems for trucks.
Yeah.
They do tents for SUVs and trucks. Roof-mounted wedge tents. And not just that, but also accessories like mounts for your bicycles, your heaters, your fridges, everything integrated into one.
Yeah, and they're super cool setups. We get the opportunity to poke around all kinds of different overland, camping, off-roading, bed and camper and roof rack setups. Just about any one of them that you can think of we've seen and we've interacted with, and a lot of them are pretty cool. Some of them aren't all of our cup of tea, but the ones that Jay is building are super rad and really well engineered and well thought out because partly for fun, but he'll maybe call it R&D. Jay goes out and tests those things extensively.
And I think that the mindset is overbuilding.
Yeah.
Right? That's the mindset.
He's about to take some of those rigs down to South America for like 6 months or something.
Yeah. And you know how we talk about like AEV, American Expedition Vehicle, how their bumpers and other components are overbuilt, where they can last for years, maybe decades, without rusting or falling apart or doing this and that. That's, I think, the mindset of Dirtbox Overland, because a lot of the components are actually aluminum, and they're designed to minimize welding. Because when you weld two pieces of aluminum together, could have fractures, and different issues.
Well, and those guys know how to construct something that's durable because they're off-roading vehicles.
In tank traps.
Vehicles that weigh, 15,000 pounds or more.
Yeah.
So
that's the mindset. And also comes along with that is price.
Yeah.
I don't have any prices to quote here, but don't expect it to be the bottom price.
No.
Because you're buying tough quality, and a little bit something that's tougher and more durable, and you're going to pay more.
Put it this way, though. If it could survive J Couch, it's going to survive probably anything that you're going to do with it.
You're going to throw at it. So as we wrap up this episode, I have a couple of rapid-fire news items that I want to shoot at. So first, Ford Rangers have been recalled. There's also a stop sale.
Yeah, so that's kind of a big one. Obviously, there's been a lot of news about Ford recalls this year.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of Ford recalls this year. And a recall, some of them have been very minor, to be fair. But I think last I checked, we were at 110.
I don't know where we are now.
But if you do the math, is about one every other day. So how many days into the year are we?
That's unfortunate. But
right? 200 some.
But a lot of the stuff that we looked at already had to do with bigger trucks.
Yeah.
But now the Ranger is involved.
Again, to be fair, a lot of the recalls that have come out have been for minor stuff. One of the recalls was for one car.
Yeah, but we wouldn't really mention it unless there were 100,000 Rangers recalled.
Yeah, and a stop sale is a bigger deal.
Yeah, so we usually don't bring up stuff like, you know what, we had to reprint a sticker on 5 trucks because we messed up on the payload number. That's not, we're never going to talk about that because there's thousands of these things, with every manufacturer. But when there's a stop sale, so the issue they experienced was, in a crash test, they noticed a slight tear in the airbag on the side curtain airbag. And where it matches with a B-pillar internal structure, I guess there's something going on there. When the airbag deploys, it starts to tear because of that pillar, and it's losing air pressure or using just pressure, and it could become a safety concern. In a rollover or another situation where an accident is occurring. So Ford, I think, did the right thing, and they actually looked deeper into that problem. They actually were very serious about it. And so the solution, I think, is eventually, it's not coming immediately, but they actually resolved it at the factory where they're doing a slightly different B-pillar internal structure that will not cause a tear in an airbag.
Yeah, and it's something that they're going to have to address pretty quickly if it's a stop sale, because that's not going to help truck sales.
If you're driving your truck now, you're going to get a letter in the mail or online or in your app saying that there's a recall happening. But the trucks are on the lot. By law, when there's a safety thing, you cannot sell a truck with a safety concern. So that's why the stop sale is happening.
So that's going to make it a big deal for them to get fixed. It's something they're going to want to fix quickly. But another little bit of Ford news, one that's on a slightly higher note, is that they've made the Ford Maverick about $1,000 less than it was for last year.
So we have a story on that on TFLtruck.com also, because Zach is on top of it.
On TFLtruck.com?
Yes.
One of my favorite websites.
Very cool news website for trucks and reviews. So the Maverick has been beaten up recently for crazy price increases over the last 4 years, and appropriately so.
Yeah, I've been a part of that.
Because its price over the 4-year period increased almost 38%.
Yeah.
Which is a big chunk. Mainly, I think, because it's kind of almost not the only pickup in its class. There's also the Hyundai Santa Cruz, but it's one of the more popular ones. And whenever you dominate a segment, Tacoma is very similar at this.
Yeah.
You're able to increase your price because you're
There's
dominating.
a lot of demand.
There's a lot of demand for it. People want it, so you can increase the price. But now, for 2026 model year, there are actually certain trim levels are actually becoming a little bit more affordable. And the base Maverick now has a turbo engine, which is still the 2-liter that they had before, but with front-wheel drive only, which they're bringing back. And look, we have a table right here on our website which is now $1,000 less than the base hybrid you can buy. So technically speaking, you could jump in a new Maverick at about $28,840, which doesn't sound like a very small amount of money, but it's, once again, $1,000 less than before.
It's still quite a bit more than the just under $20,000 starting MSRP they had when the truck first launched, but it is a move in the right direction. So,
but look at this. Lobo price stays the same.
Yeah.
Lariat all-wheel drive hybrid, which is a more fancy Maverick, $350 less than before. Yeah. Lariat EcoBoost, $920 less.
Yeah, and the Tremor is, what, $350 less expensive?
Okay, so not a huge amount, but still.
Yeah, but that's still nice. So it's good to see.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of positive. And also, last week I was in Michigan at the Ram event for their Hemi relaunch, reintroduction of the 5.7 Hemi into their light-duty trucks. But another piece of news was that Ram is now finally is introducing some factory-backed accessories via direct connection Mopar, which in one of those items is the exhaust, custom exhaust system for the Ram RHO. Cole and I were there, and actually it made that RHO sound quite a bit more aggressive.
Did it sound better in person? Because I've only heard a video clip of it, and the video clip that I heard of that exhaust on the RHO sounded a little, for my ear, too raspy. And it definitely, to me, didn't sound trucky. But how did it sound in person? Because that's a big difference.
Liked it. Yeah, in person it's better. And you can kind of see it here. We're walking around the truck, and it's really an attractive system, actually. Those 5-inch outlets are pretty good looking. And it's a 3-inch diameter system, actually going back to the catalytic converters. And it's a true dual system, too. And I think it sounds probably best, like most systems, under load, under acceleration. And, there's a little blip, when it shifts, and you can hear that kind of almost like a backfire sound, which is not really a backfire, but kind of attractive sound. So I actually thought it made the truck more attractive.
Does it sound like a BMW?
No, it's a little deeper.
Okay.
It's still a 3-liter straight 6. I see where you're going.
So it's maybe a little BMW-ish.
I would say it's more deep. It's a deeper tone.
I got nothing against BMW.
No. But it's not a car.
It's an interesting sound for a truck, though.
It's a truck.
Yeah.
So, yes, the TRX will be coming, and they said it will have a V8 engine, and it's probably going to be the Hellcat. So that's going to be a whole different story. But
this is a good alternative, though, to an EcoBoost Raptor, especially because I love straight 6s in general.
Yeah. And actually, like when you're bringing up German manufacturers like Mercedes, BMW, Audi, especially Mercedes and some of their high-performance AMG products, they're able to make an exhaust system on a turbocharged engine, which is very pleasing and aggressive.
Yeah.
And I think, Ram and Ford, Ford also came out with that, valved system with a loop-to-loop. Remember that? The Raptor EcoBoost, where it was equal length. They were going to great lengths to actually make those engines sound more appealing.
Yeah. Yeah, which is worth doing in an enthusiast truck like that. Because if you're going to be trying to sell trucks to people that are buying something they're passionate about rather than just the most objectively utilitarian, useful thing, then sound is important.
And it's not free. The base exhaust system, that optional MagnaFlow system that we're talking about, was about $2,000. So, but when you're buying a $72,000 RHO, or maybe it's more expensive if you're getting a luxury version of that for about $82,000 before discounts, $2,000 doesn't seem like a big in the big scheme.
At that
things.
Point, it's a bit of a drop in the bucket.
But I would wager it makes your truck more appealing to an enthusiast.
Yeah.
As such, I think it's a worthy investment.
Well, I'll have to withhold my own judgment until I get to
it.
hear it in person because, again, we can try to gather as much as possible through video. But
Well, it's different when you're watching it on your phone
Yeah.
and you have phone speakers or headphones.
yeah, because
It's a
on my
whole
phone it didn't sound that good, but I would
it's a whole
want to hear it
different
in person.
experience. I think it's a little bit better in person than you could imagine. So
As could be said about a car that we thought we were going to start up at some point in this podcast, and we
but
haven't
we
yet.
haven't heard it yet.
The Viper, our company-owned 1994 Viper, is right on the other side of that door, and they're putting tires on it. So,
Which means they have to move it.
yeah, which means they have to move it. They might. It is a pretty pushable car, so they might just be moving it that way. But that's another vehicle that online all the time people say how much they dislike the sound of it, and I would be willing to wager, at least for myself, everybody at the office, everyone I've seen go for a ride in that car, when you actually get in it in real life and wail on it, it doesn't sound bad.
Well,
so you
one
got to
of the
withhold
issues-
your judgment.
Yeah, one of the issues that people may think about with that Viper is that you're hearing 5 cylinders on the
On
left
one side
and 5 cylinders on the right because that's how the system is designed. They're not. I don't think there's any crossing of the pipes, right?
To my knowledge,
this.
yeah, I think you're right.
But I agree with you completely. Cole and I drove it to the drag strip, and it's almost like a surround sound.
Yeah, and when
it's-
you're approaching red line with an 8-liter V10,
Which is actually pretty high.
Yeah,
It's
it
like
is.
6,000
It-
RPM.
Oh, it revs.
Yeah.
You're not thinking, "Wow, this sounds terrible."
No. It's pretty amazing.
You're thinking, "This is the time of my life."
Can you imagine, we're getting new tires on it as we speak. Can you imagine an additional traction? Because those old tires are pretty terrible,
Yeah,
pretty hard. With new traction, this could be a nice beast.
it could be marginally less dangerous.
Or maybe even more
Because right now
dangerous.
it's on a pair of Fred Flintstones.
Yes.
So, you got,
But is it less dangerous or more dangerous? Because you're going to have more confidence, you're going to go faster.
I'm going to say less dangerous than 20-year-old tires.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, what about Ram bringing back that engine in a Ram truck?
Oh, the V10.
Yeah, the V10.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about V8s and and Hellcats.
I've got no problem with that.
Okay.
There
Do you
go.
guys have a problem with that?
Probably not.
No. Yeah, so I think that's about it. Let us know what you think about the most affordable, or I'm sorry, not affordable, the best value trucks.
Yeah.
We didn't mention the Tundra. I mean, Tundra is there with their Tier D off-road packages as well. But the Tundra Tier D off-road, the one we owned, the 2022 model when it first came out, was a pretty decent truck. But it's, once again, the tire is not as aggressive as I would want it to be.
Yeah.
And then when you go to Tier D Pro, you have to buy the hybrid, and then the price goes up to like 75 grand, which is out of the water,
Tons.
just a whole different story.
Yeah. So let us know what you think in the comments below. And also, go watch the videos that we did with big military trucks, because if you watch that and it gets enough views, then we can convince Roman to do that like all the time.
We also have to convince Jay.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
he
Or we get Roman to buy a Unimog.
Oh, wait a minute. When he goes to South America, the cat's away. The mice will play.
And he won't even know.
He won't even know. How will he know? Oh, maybe by watching our channel.
That could be. Yeah, we do put all that on the
We will
internet.
never do that.
No.
Because he's got cameras at his property.
Yeah.
He's got, I don't know, laser beams where if you cross a laser beam, alarms start to pop off. So
All kind of stuff.
we would never do that.
No.
All right. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll see you next week,
That's all.
as always.